As you know, I like to do videos on mental illness and I like to do videos on DSP. So today we have a video on DSP talking about mental illness. We'll go through, we'll see what he has to say, if he has any particular insights. Is DSP actually depressed? Is this just a scam to get more money? It's going to be interesting. I'm going to make one promise to you. I'm going to go into this open-minded. I will make fun of him because he's a doofus, but I'll try to determine, does he actually have depression? Is this all just a scam, etc.? I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but I have enough personal experience. I've experienced talking and kind of helping out a lot of people with mental illness, and I've done a lot of reading. So call me an armchair psychologist or whatever, but if nothing else, hopefully this will be informative and entertaining. So let us begin, and I'll just skip ahead.
Depression is something that when you get it, it's there with you forever, and there's ways to manage it, and there's ways to forget about it, and ways to not bring attention to it, and basically focus on the positive things in life. But I think the best way that I can describe it is kind of like a little passenger.
I mean, there's a couple different types of depression. There's kind of situational depression, which can largely go away. And then there's clinical depression, which probably comes from a chemical imbalance or a fundamental personality trait or something like that. So sometimes it's permanent, sometimes it's not permanent. Like situational is if somebody in your family dies, and it's something you can largely get over.
That's always along for the ride and always is going to be there.
Okay, that's kind of unfair. I mean, that is an accurate description of it. It always is in the back of your mind, and you have to struggle with that demon every day. Each and every day of your life, there is that little voice in the back of your head which is trying to pull you down, and you have to struggle with it.
So people now are going to argue with me about semantics because they're being jerks in the street. It's not a disease, it's a disorder. All right, it's a disorder. It's not what I'm talking about. We're not here to argue semantics and shit. All right, we're here to talk real turkey about what this is. This disorder. I'll call it a disorder. Oh, for the little Nancys who might get offended that I said disease instead of disorder. Oh my god.
It is a disease. It's. I would agree with him.
All this being said, in my case, back in high school, I started having feelings, of self-doubt and things like that. And that's normal. When you're in high school, that's like the time of your life when you're just riddled with emotions. And you're in the middle of puberty, and all these life changes are going on in your life, and you feel these weird feelings back and forth, like maybe you're not good enough or whatever, and, that's fine. But for me, I can tell you guys, without actually telling you the full extent of it.
I was on a cocktail of medications, okay?
And one or two of the medications' known side effects were that it could cause depression, but I didn't know that, because I didn't read the side effects.
Sorry, why was he on the cocktail medications?
Life changes are going on in your life, and you feel these weird feelings back and forth, like maybe you're not good enough or whatever, and, that's fine. But for me, I can tell you guys, without actually telling you the full extent of it.
I was on a cocktail of medications, okay?
Why was he on the cocktail medic? Is this to do with his back? Like, you gotta give a little more context to that. You can't just say you were on a cocktail of medications. Like, when I say I used to be taking... Well, no, I take 2 medications at the moment, but I'll even see what they are. I take Prozac and I take lamotrigine for my bipolar disorder. So, yeah.
And one or two of the medications' known side effects were that it could cause depression, but I didn't know that because I didn't read the side effects. I was just trusting my people who were making these decisions for me.
Now, this is something very important. When treating a mental illness, well, treating of any disease, but especially mental illness, is a cooperative venture. So you need to work together with your doctor. You have to read up on the medications you're taking. You may even want to suggest a medication to him. Maybe you've gone through drugs.com, you've read a bunch of reviews, you've looked at the side effects, you've looked at what they're used for, you look at what people have said, and you go, well, I don't know about this, but maybe that. You need to have a doctor you trust who you can work with. And I've suggested medications in the past, and my doctors kind of looked at them and they said, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we can try this. Or I say, I don't want to try this because it causes massive weight gain. It's something you have to work together on. You should never just kind of be a passive person and just take medication.
And so I ended up taking this medication that literally within like 2 months of me taking the medication, my whole personality was changing. Okay? I went from this like more positive, happy-go-lucky kind of a guy to more of like a dark, a brooding kind of guy. And
when I used to take Effexor, aka Side Effexor, it made me crazy. Side Effexor is known for being like crack, literally. if you stop taking it, its withdrawal has been compared to heroin. I remember when I stopped taking side effects, or I was literally like falling down. I was getting like brain zaps. It felt like I was being electrocuted. And it made me just super belligerent. It caused me to go into like a full-on manic state where I became like megalomaniacal. I couldn't sleep. I think part of it is because if you have bipolar disorder and you take an antidepressant without a mood stabilizer, it makes you go into a manic phase, and it just massively destabilizes you.
I felt in my head that I'm never going to have success. It doesn't matter how much I work at life or how much I do that, I'm going to be worthless. You know, girls will never like me. You know, it's just real negativity, a big ball, everything is negative, 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 negative. Okay? No matter what, how success I had, I would do great in school, you know, I go on a date with a girl or whatever, go to, you know, hang out with my friends having fun, and I would be the outgoing kind of happy-go-lucky guy. But that was my outer appearance. Inside, in my head, it was literally the opposite. Like, I felt like I was worthless, like I would...
No, that's very true. Most people with depression, and I've done a video on this, adopt a sort of persona. It is a bit like the game Persona. Like, I think in Persona 4 they describe it as a mask that's used to separate oneself from the outside world. So a lot of people are kind of surprised when they learn how much I suffer from depression IRL, because I do manage to present a somewhat stoic and often kind of, you know, sarcastic, kind of clever, funny, positive person. But in reality, I kind of have an extremely dark, kind of melancholic personality. So that's very common for people to develop something that they use to present to the outside world.
I wasn't a friendly guy, like people were just bullshitting me. I wasn't a good guy, I wasn't funny, I wasn't attractive. None of those things mattered. It was all bullshit in my head, you know? Because that's what it does to you. It eats you from the inside. It's kind of like they say a toxic thing or a virus. It'll eat your psyche from the inside and make you feel like no matter what you do, out.
And his situation's gotten worse. I agree. It is very accurate the way he's describing it. The problem with him is he makes no attempt to improve it. A very important part of dealing with any mental illness, and Jordan Peterson focuses on this a lot, is you need psychological momentum. So whether it's cleaning, whether it's doing something extra to make money, whether it's reading, you need to be doing something, even if it's small, to improve your situation. And he does nothing to improve his situation. He doesn't even clean. What I like to do on weekends, if I'm feeling kind of down, is I'll go through and I'll clean, I'll wipe down all the furniture, give the bathrooms a good clean, vacuum the floor, etc. And that makes me feel better because it makes me feel like I accomplished something. He doesn't do that, and that's a big part of his problem, is he doesn't make any attempt to deal with it. The other issue is he spends all his time largely alone in his game room. He doesn't go outside. He doesn't interact with people. Being a NEET rots your brain. There's few things that rot your brain faster than being a NEET. You just develop, you're in your own world, you don't interact with people. And I don't interact with people a ton outside of work and my family and my friends, but I at least get out every day. I talk to people at work. I'm in public, like on the train and stuff. And that is very important for your mental health and for your psyche.
In the real world, isn't really happening, or is it just futile? It's not going to last. That you're still eventually going to fail. You're still eventually going to have this big negative thing happen to you. Okay?
Now, the good news is, eventually I got off the medication, and I stopped. I mean, I could tell you, real talk.
Once again, that's true. You develop severe depression results in a completely delusional view of reality. It doesn't matter how many people say you're smart. It doesn't matter how many people say you're charming. It doesn't matter how many people think you're good at your job. It doesn't matter if you manage to save a lot of money or you make a lot of money. Your mind will feel a way to twist it into making it as negative as possible. So far, this is a fairly accurate description of depression, in my view.
Well, at one point, I was to the point where I was losing it. I wanted to either go do something drastic or, go nuts. There was a girl who I was, obsessed with for a while. Oh, my God!
What the fuck? Whoa! Whoa! And I really do feel like the reason was because of the medication I was taking, and it wasn't because I actually was legitimately like that girl. It was just the meds were fucking with my head. And so I was thinking of doing crazy shit, alright? Once the meds ran out, it kind of went away, but that nagging feeling back here never went away. So, my whole life.
I mean, once again, DSP has problems, but drugs can make you crazy. Like, I used to, when I was on Effexor, I would just rage at people. It caused heart palpitations. I was just a lunatic, and when I stopped taking it, I mellowed out a lot. Actually, because I was taking Effexor, one of my doctors thought I developed... I had borderline personality disorder because of my fits of rage, but those almost completely subsided. So yes, medication can completely change your personality. That's not to say I'm against medication, because some people need to be on medication. Like, people with severe psychosis need to be on tranquilizers, or they'll go crazy and do stuff that they shouldn't. So, in a lot of cases, it's the lesser of two. Sedating people is less evil than kind of some other aspects of it.
Everything that I've strived to do, everything that I tried to turn into a pot. You know, I say a lot of I'm the king of hate, right? I'm the guy that when people talk down to me and they say I can't do something and I'm a piece of crap.
And I use that negativity, I use that toxicity to fuel me, right?
To say, no, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to punch through the boundaries. I'm going to become, that person that they say I can't be, and I'm going to be successful no matter what. But even though I have done that,
there's still this back here. And it's still in the back of my neck, the back of my head, the back of my mind, and it's always telling me that I'm a bad person. It's telling me that I don't deserve any success. It's telling me that I'm ugly. It's telling me that I'm fat. It's telling me that I'm gross. It's telling me that I'm not funny, that I'm worthless, that I'm a...
And this is true, because I recently went to see my therapist, and his advice was what you need to focus on is improving your self-esteem. So whenever one of these negative thoughts comes into you, the one thing you have to do is learn to fight back against them. So whenever one of these negative thoughts comes up, you have to repress it, you have to fight it, and it's very difficult.
Sell out that I'm a shill, that I'm a piece of crap, that I don't deserve any kind of positivity, I don't deserve my girlfriend, I don't deserve the love of my parents, I don't deserve to live. And it's there. And it never fucking goes away.
It doesn't matter how much you try, for me at least, I've never been able, even the moments of my greatest success, I'm at Evo, and I'm kicking ass in a tournament or whatever, and I feel great about myself. Within a day, it's gone, because this comes back and tells me I'm a piece of crap, Or, on YouTube, I'm making big money, I'm putting out videos on YouTube that are getting hundreds of thousands of views, I'm being told I'm one of the funniest Let's Players there's ever been, and I'm getting massive success on YouTube, and everything's telling me, great, okay? And it's back here, and it's telling me, nope, fuck you, you're a piece of crap, you're a piece of garbage, and, it never goes away. There's always self-doubts, for example. You'll be told that you're good looking, okay? Your depression won't let you feel that. Even though you'll look in the mirror and say, okay, and people will tell you, you look good. Nope. Your depression will tell you no, all right? There's days, all right? There's days when I wake up, and by the way, there's idiots in the stream chat telling me that they don't know they're idiots. I'm just gonna ignore all of them because they're just there to cause trouble as usual. There's days when I wake up and for absolutely no reason, there's nothing that's triggered it. I just feel incredibly sad, a ball of sadness.
Help!
Right? For no reason. It's not like I woke up and things went wrong today, or I woke up, you know what I mean? I'll just be sad for no fucking reason, okay? And why? And that's the thing, too. If you try to treat it with logic, it doesn't work. Because depression is not logical. Depression is not like cause and effect. Oh, I cut my leg and my leg hurts. It's not like that. It's like it could just happen. And one day you feel like shit for no fucking reason. There's been days, this is real, okay, when I was doing YouTube for a living, and I told you guys that I couldn't work today, I don't feel good. That's because I was depressed. That's not because I was actually physically feeling bad or sick. It's because I woke up and I felt awful. My mind was fucked, and I just couldn't even get my head together to get a thought without thinking negative, terrible, sad thoughts, right? And what depression does, it also makes you focus on negative times in your life, even if you're not in them anymore. There'll be a day, I'll be in the middle, alright? By the way, I wish that we had, okay, thank you. Thank you, Popsicolo. He finally stepped up and he's starting to ban some of these idiots from the stream chat who I'm trying to ignore, alright? There have been days when I'm in the middle of something completely positive and fun, right? There's no reason for me to be sad. There's no reason whatsoever for me to be thinking about negative things from my past. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the thought of something incredibly bad and negative from my past jumps into my head and it kills my mood and makes me sad as shit or angry or upset. Why? I didn't, nothing triggered it. Nothing fucking triggered it at all. It just, boop, and it fucks you. You could be in the middle of something tremendously happy and it sucks the happiness out of you, alright? And it sucks because you could try as much as you can to get rid of it or you could try to distract it, and it doesn't go away. It's still there. And it sucks. It's just like people, ignorant idiots in the stream chat are saying right now as I'm describing this to you, oh, that's just a self-esteem issue. Oh, it's this and that. Wrong. And that's what I mean. That's the worst thing you can do to someone who has this, is to tell them they're wrong.
You gotta listen to me. Read.
Their problem isn't valid. It's something else, and how dare you act like you have a problem.
Now, this is true. It's very difficult for someone without depression to understand it, because it is very much a pathological condition. It is a disease. And you can't just normally tell someone to get over it, because they would get over it if they could.
That's the worst worst thing you can do because it just makes them feel even worse. It makes them feel, now I'm even more worthless because maybe I don't really have this problem.
It's just me. I'm a weak person, and I'm a piece of crap.
And, you know,
Yeah, it's true. If you tell somebody with depression that they just need to get over it, then that just makes them feel guilty, and it gets even worse.
Again, it compounds it and makes it even worse. So literally, the reaction that I've gotten from people in the stream chat who don't have it and don't understand it, okay, is exactly the kind of reaction that makes it worse in people. So God forbid, if someone, you know someone who has it or says they have it or they're feeling down and like, do not react in that manner. That is just going to make them even worse, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are some ways that you can deal with this, all right? Ways that I have found to try to counter it. Doesn't always work, but here's some things. Number one, you got to try to distract yourself with something that takes a lot of concentration. And what I mean by that is if you're feeling just terrible, awful, afflicted with this thing, sad, right? What the fuck? Get yourself involved in something that's going to completely distract you to the point where you can't really be thinking about it. You need to concentrate. Sometimes it's physical activity for some people. Go work out, right? I gotta lift some fucking weights, or I gotta go do something physical. You know, some people who renovate houses.
Yep, that's true. That's very
some people
accurate.
it's mental. I'm gonna go play a really great video game that I know I love and it takes a lot of concentration. It's very challenging, you know. Or it could be something else. I don't know. It all depends on your own personal, situation, what you like to do and stuff. And
Reading, long walks, doing video editing, writing. It is important to keep yourself busy. That's just kind of one of the best ways of dealing with depression.
It doesn't have to be something you like. It could just be something that you need to distract yourself, okay? Because the bottom line is, if you can get yourself pulled away from having that just inundating all of your thought, you're going to end up feeling better. Even if it's not consciously like, oh, I realize now that I'm not, I got off my mind, you'll still feel better. You see what I mean? And maybe it'll go away. That's what I've noticed sometimes. If I'm feeling real shit, and if I can get myself distracted doing something else, okay, it could make things better. But I can tell you, some days it's horrible when, like, I'm feeling bad. And it hasn't happened recently, I should say that, by the way. But if I'm feeling real bad, and I have to come on stream, I know I have to come on stream to work, right? I have to come on stream to pay the bills. And now I have to put on a happy face for you guys. When in reality, on the inside, all I'm feeling is sad, or, upset, terrible about myself, all these feelings. And it sucks because, I have to. I can't, like I said, there have been days over the years. You guys who are longtime viewers, there have been days when I said, I just can't stream today or I can't do videos today. Sorry, guys. That's because I was depressed. And I couldn't actually shake it off enough to come out and put on a happy face and put out entertaining videos or streams or whatever for you guys that day. Okay? Now, there's other ways as well. You can talk to people. Obviously, that's a big one. Sometimes talking about the issues and getting them out there will make you feel better. Sometimes they won't. Because like I said,
that's part of why I do videos on it. It does help a lot to talk about it. And I've been contacted by numerous people over the years, and they've said, Argent, you being able to express the feelings I'm having in the way you do, and you're very good at expressing them and kind of summarizing them, that helps me a lot to kind of put a name on it and to kind of get to the core of it so I can start trying to maybe resolve some of this.
Depression is not logical. It's not like, oh, this happened, this is bothering me, if I talk about it, get it off my chest.
It isn't logical at all, that's true.
It's not true. That's not true. In many cases, you can talk about it as much as you want. So, you could, talk about it till the cows come home. It may not help anything. Or it might, because it all depends. One of the things about depression is you may feel like no one cares about you, and, because of that, you're all alone.
It is YouTube's fault.
And sometimes when you actually talk out with someone who seems concerned, even if it's just a psychiatrist who's getting paid to be concerned, sometimes just speaking with someone who's concerned can help you. Okay? Now again, that's not universal. That's for some people, not everyone. Sometimes that actually does help me a lot, and sometimes it doesn't help at all. It makes things worse, especially if the reason maybe you're feeling bad is something you can't help or you can't change, right? Then it might make things worse because now you're talking about it with someone else and the other person's getting upset about it too. So you got, it might not, it's not universal. You know what I mean? It just really sucks because it could rear its ugly head. And when it rears its ugly head, it can have many different effects. One of the effects is, like I said, it can make you feel sad to the point where
you just shut down. You completely shut down. That's like I said, some days that's happened to me. I just can't do any work today. I'm done. I'm just gonna lay in bed and cry all fucking day. I'm a very fallible, very, very fragile, very, vulnerable person. Everyone knows that. That's happened to me. Okay? It hasn't happened recently, but it's happened. Kat has seen me like that once ever. And even she was like, oh shit.
Actually, I'm pretty confused right now.
But there's other ways that it could sadly negatively affect everything. And one way, and this is a big one, and this is one that in particular, this is the first time I'm ever publicly discussing anything like this with anyone. Any of you guys that have ever been a viewer of mine. Alright, and this is the God's honest truth. I'm not making this up.
Uh-oh. Okay, this is going to be amazing. Let's see what he has to say.
Or a justification. Okay? I take full responsibility for my actions.
No.
But
he never has for anything he's done.
One of the biggest problems with depression is self-destruction. And here's what I mean by that. If you have true depression, and you have these feelings of hatred of yourself, which I had. There were points in my life where I hate myself. I don't want to exist anymore. I hate who I am. I hate everything I've become. And the truth is, I don't feel that. I do feel that over the years, as a person, I've grown tremendously. Me now versus me when I started on YouTube, I'm a much better person, I feel, right now.
You are wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong.
I'm a much more moral person, you know what I mean? I changed for the better. But inside this feeling of you're a piece of garbage, you know, you don't deserve anything, hating myself.
Oh, DSP is... Honestly, DSP's not a good person, and I've never said he's a good person, but he's really not that bad. I mean, he's just kind of an asshole who posts videos on the internet and is a dick to his fan base. He's never actually really hurt anybody. If people would just stop giving him money when he doesn't deserve it, then he would just go away. I mean, he's not that bad. He's not a good person, but he's just kind of a douche. It's not like it matters. Like, none of this really matters, to be perfectly honest.
Makes me do things that are stupid as fuck, that are incredibly self-destructive. All right, and this is the God's honest truth. More. Oh, here we go. Another idiot. Goodbye. Another. You're a lawyer. Goodbye. Actually, Popsicola took care of it before I even got to take care of it. Okay? You may notice that every once in a while, I'll do something incredibly stupid and out of character. And you say, why the hell did Phil do that? Things were going good, and, why would Phil do something really stupid like that? And by the way, as I'm talking about this, I'm actually crushing the fuck out of this stress box. It's the first time I've ever actually publicly talked about this. I'll do something dumb and out of character for no reason. And, to the logical person looking in from the outside who's a fan, why did Phil fucking do that, right? Why did Phil insult this person? Why did Phil do this? Why did Phil do that? And there's a lot to do, stress and emotion. But
now, it's kind of, I don't know why he's obsessed with the idea Phil's bipolar. I've never really seen any real evidence for that. I think he could be a sociopath. No, not really a sociopath. I think he definitely has narcissistic personality disorder, to be honest.
Who actually have depression. And I'll give you a perfect example, and you can choose to believe me or not. This is not an excuse, and I own what I did. But about a month ago, I made an incredibly stupid fucking tweet, publicly on Twitter. The tweet said that anyone who was playing State of Decay 2 early was a shill, and getting paid to do so.
But that was actually one of the smarter things he said. I actually kind of agreed with it. I think it was a legitimate point. I think people were way too hard on him over that, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad a tweet. I think he made a legitimate point. I think he kind of did it in a douchey way. But people were overly sensitive. And I think it's interesting. A lot of people came out because they were the people he was talking about who were making money by giving games overtly positive views so that they could get more review copies in the future. And him calling them out on it sent them into full-scale panic mode. So in that case, I think he was actually right. So if there's anything he should be apologizing for, like Project 7, lying about his tax situation, lying about Cat, all this other stuff, but that's one thing I don't think he needs to apologize for.
And I would be playing the game later in the week, and I'm not getting paid, so my opinions will be valid. Alright? I know that's a false statement in my head. I know that's a false...
No, it was accurate.
...false statement. 100% I know that tweet is factually incorrect. Alright? The actual thought that I wanted to relay was that when people play games early, they're making extra money because they're the only people able to play the games, therefore they're basically making a paycheck.
Well, they are. I mean, it's accurate. I went over this. It's 100% accurate.
For playing a game early. It's an elitist practice. I don't agree with it. I've always said early release copies are horseshit. You shouldn't have an elitist group of streamers and reviewers who get...
I mean, he has been consistent on this. He's done it, but you know what it kind of reminds me of? People attacked Donald Trump for not paying taxes for a number of years because he lost a lot of money one year and he carried forward that tax credit. And people were like, well, Trump, you want to reform the tax code to get rid of loopholes, but use the loopholes. And his response was, well, A, they're legal at the moment, and B, it's not fair. It's not competitive. I have to stay competitive, so I have to exploit the same thing. And it wouldn't be fair. Like, I wouldn't be able to stay in business if I didn't engage in the same practice. That's the same thing he said with the Make America Great Again hats. He's like, look, I'd rather build them in America, but while we have the current trade laws, there's nothing I can really do about it. Either I go out of business or I can't afford to do this, or I make them in China. So I think in Phil's case, what he's saying is the times I've done it is because it's a bad system, and there's something I can do to change the overall system, which I agree with.
These games early, that everyone should have to buy the game on release day, and that way we can all get legitimate opinions of the game on release day, and also consumers should have self-control They shouldn't be running out actively to buy every game on release day just to be part of the hype of the release. They should wait a day or two for other people to buy the game, give their honest reviews about it, then decide if they want to buy the game or not. That's my actual full informed opinion about pre-release games. Now you can agree or disagree, and that's perfectly fine. But what I just said is far less inflammatory than everyone playing a pre-release copy of State of Decay 2 is a fucking, a shill. And,
I think people were pussies over that one. Like I said, I think he was calling them off out on their gravy train, and they went into full damage control mode.
The only person who basically isn't doing it, so watch my stream on Friday, okay? And I know that. I know that putting that out on Twitter is going to cause trouble. I know that, logically, in this head. I know. That's stupid, But I did it anyway.
To be, fair to him, once again, people are going to get mad at me for being too sympathetic to Phil, but I just try to be balanced. You heard me, what I try to do, and one of the things I said when I started this channel is I promise to always be real with you guys, or to be as real as possible. And you heard me early in this video, or if you're watching the cut part of this, you heard me mock him relentlessly for lying about his taxes. But if he says something and I think it's accurate, I'm going to agree with him. I don't feel the need to mock every single thing he says just because he's the enemy or something like that. Once again, DSP isn't a political enemy. He's not a cultural enemy. He's just kind of an asshole. And to my mind, that doesn't justify me actively trying to take him down. But as I was saying regarding Phil and kind of this whole thing, I do really stupid shit when I'm manic. I'll attack people, I'll flame people, I'll post videos. If you notice, sometimes I'll put things up and then immediately put them down. That's normally something I do when I'm manic, and it really raises your time preference a lot, and it really does havoc with your impulse control. So that is accurate.
And it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake that I put that on fucking Twitter. No, sir, it wasn't. That was my depression.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What was that? What was that? That was the messiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. What the fuck?
Pulling me out of a positive moment of my life. At that very moment. Alright? When that happened, okay? I was on time off. I wasn't streaming. And I was actually spending time with Kat. And we were actually doing fun stuff. But, what happened was things weren't going as planned. We had plans of things that we wanted to do during those 3 days that I had off from streaming. And sadly, they didn't all work out. And it's personal reasons. I'm not going to explain what it was. But there was basically some negative stuff going on. That, here's something that we've been planning for, a month. Really looking forward to. Hoping for an amazing time together. And then, fuck me, something goes wrong. And now it's not as amazing as we wanted it to be. In fact, it was way less amazing than we actually wanted it to be. So here I am, waking up one morning while we're on our time off, feeling miserable because we're not having as good of a time as we really should have. And I'm having these terrible feelings again of maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I don't deserve the time off. Maybe I don't deserve, you know what I mean? Maybe I don't deserve any success. Maybe I don't deserve the time off. Maybe I just deserve to be a slave for the rest of my life, to always be behind on finances and back taxes, and to have a horrible existence for the rest of my life. Maybe I just deserve it. And I'm feeling this depression in my head, and then someone tells me, Phil, are you aware? I know that your big comeback from your time off is you're going to play State of Decay 2. Are you aware that there's 4 people already playing it on Twitch, and one of them has 18,000 viewers and already made $4,000 in 10 minutes from sheer subs and tips? And I hear that, and here it is. Boom, self-destruction. Let's do it. Go right to Twitter and make that tweet that I know is wrong. It's not how I feel. Let's do it. And that's exactly the kind of stuff that happens to me. And it's not just me. This kind of shit happens to a lot of people who have depression, where you're in a moment of weakness, and your depression takes over. It actually takes over. It makes you do shit that's out of character, and normally you wouldn't want to do, and you know there's nothing good that's going to come of it, yet you do it anyway. And then you look at it afterward, and you go, what the fuck did I do that for? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I've done that a lot of times in my life, to be perfectly honest.
Many times in my life. I remember, there was one time, alright, when something really bad happened to me, and I had a friend who was being very nice to me, and had previously been real close to me or whatever. And I actually shut that friend off completely and never spoke to them again. And it had nothing to do, that friend did nothing wrong at all.
Was that friend's name John Rambo?
Self-destruction. My body, my depression told me you don't deserve to have that friend anymore.
I wonder if it's OJ or John Rambo or Howard he's talking about. I don't know.
And I stopped talking. No.
Maybe it's Cavalry.
This isn't anyone you guys know. Oh, it's John Rambo. No, nothing like that. But this is someone who for months was a really good friend to me. Maybe even blossomed into something else. And I shut them completely off and I deleted their fucking name and number from my phone. And I never spoke to them ever again. By the way, this was back before even, this was a really long time ago. So it wasn't like, I would have texted him or whatever. I blocked them on Instant Messenger, because that was how all the kids talked back then. Or blocked her on Instant Messenger, and that was it. Never spoke to them again. And that was purposely because I wanted to hurt myself.
Sorry, it might have blossomed into something else. Is it a girl? Is it a guy? I don't know. He said both.
You know, and the problem is with people who have extreme depression, that's when you get to the point it's not just mental, it becomes physical. And that's when you get people who do physical things to themselves, physical harm and stuff, okay? And you know, sometimes it gets to the point where it hounds you and it actually haunts you so badly you just can't put up with it anymore. It's like, no matter what I do, no matter how much I fight and I strive, you know what I mean? I'm always gonna feel awful. In the back of my head, I could end up being the most successful person on planet Earth and my brain will never allow me to feel good about myself. And I think that, honestly, is a lot of the people who end up going to that extreme, that's what it is. They see no way out. It's the endless trap of no matter how much I succeed, no matter how well I do, I will always feel like shit. And that's their way out, is the ultimate step of hurting themselves, you know, losing their own lives. And that's terrible, you know? And I'll be real with you guys. There was one point in my life where I felt like that. And it was a long time ago. And it was a point in my life when I was single. That was before YouTube, by the way. And I was single, and I didn't like what I did for a living for my job. I was in a ton of financial debt, like I am now. Only back then, it wasn't like I made a lot of money, so I didn't even see a way out of it. Okay? My parents, at that point in my life, weren't really involved with the stuff that I was doing. Honestly, I felt they didn't really care about me because they weren't involved or interested in me or my welfare, what I was doing with my life. And really, I didn't have anywhere to fall back on. There was a lot of negativity in my life at that time for personal reasons. And so I was at a point in my life where I didn't want to go on. I was like, I could care less if I live or die today or tomorrow or whatever. If tomorrow I were to walk into the middle of the street and a car splattered me all over the fucking place, I wouldn't give a shit. You know, and it's awful. Because the truth of the matter is, when you have those feelings, alright, and this is logically how I basically try to convince myself out of that mindset, is even though you may feel awful about yourself, and even though you may not want to go on, there are other people out there who know you, who depend on you, who love you, and those are the people who really need to surround yourself with in times when you feel that badly. You know, just imagine, you know, being gone for good, and what a hole that leaves for people who love you, and people who, you know, what did those people do, ever, alright, to you, to deserve to have you ripped out of their lives? Now, I know that sounds incredibly selfish, because you're the one hurting, right? Right? But it's true that how selfish is it for you to take your own life, right? And then leave this gaping hole where you used to be, especially, again, if you're someone who people love you and depend on you, or just, you know, your parents in particular, although I know a lot of people don't have good relationships with their parents, or friends or loved ones, right? You know, and you're absolutely right, it's not about the other people. Someone just said that, it's not about the other people. It's not. But that's, at least for me, that was one of the ways that I helped me. That's the thing. It's not just about you, it's not just about them, it's about everything working together, you know? And so, that's the other thing, too. People will blame people. So I heard that someone was depressed and committed suicide. What an awful person to do such a selfish thing. Oh my god, like, why on this planet do we have to always play the blame game? This is actually something unrelated, but why do we have to do this? When something goes wrong, there's always got to be a finger to point and someone who has to be responsible afterward. Maybe things are just fucked up sometimes. You ever think of that? Maybe things, though, this isn't a land of lollipops and fucking rainbows. You know what I mean? And this is a serious world where things get messed up, and sometimes you just have to deal with the repercussions and say, how do we get past the blame game? And say, can we just fucking get past that and find a way to make the problem fixed? Instead of, we have to find the perpetrator or the person behind. It's not your fault if you feel depression, and it's certainly not your family member's fault or your loved one's fault if you feel depression, right? It's no one's fault. Fuck that. Instead, let's try to make people feel better so that they don't get to that fucking extreme. And you know what? Again, if it does happen and you see someone who's really negatively affected, it's not your fault. You could be the best friend, the best, you know, significant other, the best, you know, relative to someone, and they could still feel awful about themselves, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you kind of, at one point, just have to say there's no one's fault. All you can do is be there for them and try to help them as much as you possibly can, and try to be as good of a friend, relative, significant other, whatever you can be, and not let it get to you if you can't reach out and break through and help that person. Because, you know, these mental disorders are fucked up, and, you know.
Some people say, oh, just going on pills. That's not the solution either. Pills help. Don't get me wrong. You know, pills absolutely help, but they don't cure these kind of issues.
Well, it depends. Some they kind of do. It depends on the disorder. If you have like a hormonal disorder, pills might cure it. If you have a certain type of bipolar disorder, particularly type 1, and you're taking lithium, that'll kind of end your manic phases. But yeah, I get what he's saying.
They just help to mitigate and help to keep it under wraps. You know, like I said, like sometimes it's the guy in the shoulder, like I mentioned. So maybe that guy in the shoulder goes away for a couple days. But he's going to come back, but at least he's gone for a couple days, right?
So that's what I mean. So, it's a very complex issue. It is. The best takeaways I can give you when it comes to this is, number one, don't play the blame game. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. Number two, if you know someone affected by an issue like depression, don't ever tell them it's their fault. Don't try to tell them it's something else. That's fucked up, the most fucked up thing you could possibly do, and only immature, really fucked up people would do that. And you should be lucky in your life that you don't feel that, to know what it's really like, that you can now be on the an outsider, you know, saying to them, haha, you know, it's not what you say, it's just because you're weak or whatever, or, you know, you're misdiagnosing. You know, you should be happy that you don't have to be in that situation, because you know how horrible you're making that person feel, alright? Number three, if you are an outsider to the situation, you're trying to help someone, you can do whatever you can, but understand you may not be able, because it's not something that can definitively be fixed, at least from my experience. It's always going to be there, and, you know, it's tough. It really is tough, because, you know, self-destructiveness really sucks, and it could hurt yourself, you could hurt others, you know, and I know personally, because I've hurt myself and I've hurt others, definitively by my actions, and again, I take responsibility. It was me that does the fucked up stuff, so I'm the one responsible, but it's fueled by this destructive nature in the back of my head telling me to fuck everything up for myself, you know. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And there's no solution. This isn't, sadly, this is a discussion that I can say, guess what, guys? I got the miracle cure, and here it is, and now everything's hunky-dory. There's not, you know? I've toughed through it my whole life, and I'll be real with you guys. The shit that I've been through over the years, when I got people who say such nasty shit about me constantly, it's all false, even though it might be based on a snippet of truth. When you got people out there who think
that you're a pedophile, you're a thief, a scam artist, a constant, you know, disgusting beggar, and all this shit, on top of the fact that I had this before that, it doesn't make stuff easy. What?
Anyways, I think that that's a good place to end. I have to say this is I don't know, this wasn't as bad as people thought. I thought this was a pretty accurate description of depression. Whether or not DSP actually has depression, or if this is largely a ploy to get money, I'm not sure. But honestly, this doesn't offend me. I think he's describing it particularly accurately. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I feel sympathy for him or not. But I've seen much worse depictions of depression. As I said throughout, I think he did cover a lot of the major points. And that being said, I don't know. I think people are too hard on him sometimes. At any rate, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and more content to come.